everybody, it's Lauren Bailey from the Bailey Body, and I just got a new camcorder, so we're going to be making some videos for you guys. I'm trying to offer some advice, give y'all some tips on anything relating to having to do with health, fat loss, fitness, mindset, motivation. Any questions that you guys have, leave it for us on the page, and we'll try to address some of those for you. And so I'm just going to sit here having my tea. I want to keep it nice and relaxed. I don't want to preach to you guys. Basically, the advice that we're going to offer is based on our experiences, our knowledge, the things that we've researched and learned about. And so we're just going to give you our perspective on it, and hopefully that will be something that you guys can use and implement. And always keep in mind that the advice that we give isn't going to be necessarily the same for everyone. Different individuals will have different cases and they'll need to do different specific things. But again, this is just going to be our perspective from our own experiences and our knowledge and our research. And hopefully it'll help you guys out. So the first thing I want to talk about is a question that I had from another woman who asked about prostaglandins, and specifically relating to back pain that she experiences every month with her period. So I'm just going to kind of go through. I have some notes here to make sure that I tell you everything that I wanted to talk about. But your prostaglandins are like a hormone within your body. It's a little bit different in that it's not made by one particular gland or one specific organ. It can be made in different parts of your body. And it's a natural known part of the female reproductive system that you have this production of prostaglandins. So what happens is during your menstrual cycle, when you have your period, your uterus produces these prostaglandins. And it's just a normal, the body's normal stress response. It can be to different things. It's not always just your period. Any kind of inflammation or disease in the body, specific cells can produce these prostaglandins. So anyway, during your period, your uterus does produce these prostaglandins, and it's a natural part of the reproductive system. It's normal that you have this increase in prostaglandins, and what it does is it helps the uterus to contract, and it helps to shed the uterine lining that builds up. So that's where the prostaglandins come in. It's natural, it's a normal part of the process, so it's not something that's abnormal. Prostaglandins are completely normal and natural. The problem comes when you have more prostaglandins than normal. You can have an increased amount of this prostaglandin production, which can lead to an increase of pain. And so that's what some women experience when they have really bad menstrual pains and even back pain. And there's a specific, the specific prostaglandin that's produced by the uterus during your menstrual cycle also affects the back muscles as well. So that's why you get that resulting back pain with it. And this is usually referred to as dysmenorrhea. That's what they call when you have really bad pains with your menstrual cycle. I have experienced this firsthand. I had really bad problems ever since I was 16 years old, and that was the diagnosis that I got, was dysmenorrhea. It's, some people just are unlucky and have worse pain than others, and that's kind of what it was left at. Unfortunately, most doctors and just the traditional prescription for these days is just to put you on birth control. Because that's just what doctors know to do. They put you on birth control. That's their attempt to regulate your period, and hopefully it makes some of your problems go away. I know firsthand it didn't really work for me. I personally used seasonal, so that I only got my menstrual cycle every 3 months. That was basically the only relief that I got, was that instead of having it every month, I only had to go through the pain once every 3 months. But, and I'll share with you later my story and how I finally got some relief from that. So let's see, make sure I'm not missing anything. Alright, so potential treatments, besides, I don't recommend the birth control as a treatment for this, but some natural things that you can do. Of course, you have anti-inflammatory drugs. Not necessarily natural, but it is a way. It works by blocking the action of certain enzymes that reduce your prostaglandin levels. So certain anti-inflammatories, like aspirin, ibuprofen, that's what's in Midol, things like that, is because it helps to reduce the production of the prostaglandins, and so that will help to relieve some of your pain. Also, a natural remedy is vitamin E, and there have been studies shown vitamin E functions as an inhibitor of the prostaglandin synthesis. So the same thing is kind of taking place like with the anti-inflammatories. Vitamin E can naturally suppress the prostaglandin production within your body. And when the prostaglandins are lower, then your pain levels are lower. So there was a study that I was reading about. It showed that 500 IU of vitamin E taken every day during your menstrual cycle can significantly reduce the pain associated with dysmenorrhea. And what they were doing was prescribing, the people in the study, it was a blind study, so some were taking vitamin E, some were taking placebo pills, and the people who were taking the vitamin E took 2 doses a day. So they did a 200 IU dose in the morning and a 200 IU dose later in the evening. And it was shown that the people who were taking the vitamin E as opposed to the placebo had significantly less pain. They had a much easier time with their periods, and they showed the link that that's what it was. Vitamin E was reducing the level of prostaglandin production. So that's something that I would definitely recommend. Vitamin E is good for you anyway, so try that out as a supplement. 2 doses of 200 IUs twice a day. And of course, that's something that doesn't come with any side effects, whereas anti-inflammatory drugs can have some side effects with it. So vitamin E, anytime you can go with a more natural supplement or a treatment for something, then I definitely recommend that. Also, another thing is just having an anti-inflammatory diet, because anytime you have pain, you have inflammation, so you want to try to decrease the inflammatory causes that are in your diet. And the most common thing, especially in the typical diet of today's culture, is excessive omega-6 fatty acids, and that's because of the large amount of vegetable oils and refined vegetable oils that we consume in our diet. So things like, the canola oils and the soy oils and all of these that are found in your processed and packaged foods, they're much cheaper, easier to produce, and so it's become really common in today's overproduction of food supply, kind of culture that we live in. So typically today we have a very high omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, and ideally you want to get your omega-3s much higher. So start to monitor your diet, try to decrease the omega-6 content in your diet, and then increase your omega-3 content. So start taking a fish oil supplement. And let's see what else. Also, because talking about the diet, an inflammatory diet is going to cause problems with your gut health as well. It'll cause inflammation in your gut. And of course, during that time of the month, anything in the stomach region, your uterus is already having these worse contractions than normal. The prostaglandins are making your uterus contract and causing you pain. So you don't want to have any additional inflammation within your gut, because that's just going to make your bloating and your pain just that much worse. So definitely clean up the diet. Try to get it as anti-inflammatory as you can. And so lastly, what I want to talk about is my personal experience with this. Like I said, since I was 16 years old, I had a real bad case of dysmenorrhea every month would spend 2 to 3 days in bed. I missed school. It was to the point of even nausea, diarrhea, passing out. It was real extreme case. So I've been there personally. I know what it feels like. The back pain was something that I experienced as well. Used to get muscle spasms, even down into my legs. So I know firsthand what it feels like. And I was put on birth control at 16 years old because that was the treatment, and also anti-inflammatory drugs that they, had. I had the combo. And speaking of, with the anti-inflammatory drugs, it reminded me when I started it, they recommended me to start it usually about 2 days before I knew my period was starting, to start taking the anti-inflammatory drugs. And the same thing applies with the vitamin E. So if you supplement with the vitamin E, start taking that about 2 days before you expect the onset of your period, so that you can kind of stop that prostaglandin production before you actually have the pain that's the result. Okay, so just a reminder there, when you do the vitamin E supplement, start at 2 days before your period is actually supposed to start. So that got me off my train of thought. So with the birth control pills, that's where I started. I was on that for several years, and actually 2 men, oddly enough, finally saved me from my problems. Travis Jones from Melbourne, Australia, he's now one of my business coaches that I work with, and at the time I was just kind of talking to him. He was causing a bit of a stir on his Facebook page one day, talking about birth control pills, and how many women know that it's made from horse urine, and why would you take that, and it's so common these days, do you even know where it comes from? So I got to talking to him about it, and was basically saying, this is the only thing that's given me any kind of relief, and he turned me on to progesterone, started talking to me about the different hormones, and so I started doing research. I read several books on the subject, just to do my own research before I started doing anything for myself. And I found Dr. John Lee, and I read some of his books, which were amazing. He gave great information, and he has a progesterone cream that he recommends. And he ended up, actually when the book was written, he was recommending a certain type of cream. Since then, he's began making his own cream. So he has his own line, and that's what I ended up. I found it online, and I ordered it, and I started using that, and took myself off the birth control pills. And ever since then, I have not had a painful experience with my period. So for 10 years, I suffered extreme pain. And within the first month of stopping my birth control pills and starting this natural progesterone cream, that's another thing. You have to make sure that it's a natural cream. I will post the link below this video for the cream that I use and recommend. You have to be very careful with what you buy in the market, because there are a lot of creams that are promoted as natural, but they really aren't, and they're not going to give you the specific levels of the hormone that you need. So I only recommend this one. So I'll post the link below for you guys so that you don't have to go shopping. You know exactly which one to use. And so honestly, that's it. That's what I recommend. It's really common that women are high in estrogen just because of all the xenoestrogens, the environmental estrogens, the estrogens in our foods, things that we experience these days that are not natural. And they cause our estrogen levels to rise, and then our progesterone levels are extremely low and out of balance, and so that contributes to some of the pain as well, and a lot of other problems, even with weight loss issues. So I definitely recommend the progesterone cream. Try it out, see if it works for you. And again, like I said, it's going to be different for everybody, but that's my experience with it. I've had first-hand experience, real bad pains, and this was the only thing that ever helped me. So I definitely recommend it if you're having any kind of difficulties with pain involved with your period. I say stop the birth control pills try the natural progesterone cream, try the vitamin E supplementation starting 2 days before your period, and then also watch your diet. Decrease the inflammatory foods in your diet and increase your omega-3s. So cut out the processed vegetable oils and start with a fish oil supplement. Alright, so I think that's it. I hope this is helpful to you guys. And if you have any more questions on the subject, leave us a comment below. And also any other questions that you might have for a future video, just leave them on our Facebook wall, send it to us in a message if it's something private, and we'll address it in a video for you so that hopefully we can help some more people. Alright guys, I will see you soon. Bye.